Hey everyone, Arnaldo Hoffman here with CompuShow video manuals. I recently had somebody on our Facebook group ask about creating a switch to control the strobe. Now what I'm going to show you can be to control the strobe, it can be to do a color override, it can be to do whatever you want. Now the light that he's talking about is the Eco UV Bar DMX. Now whenever you import a light, one of the great things is that CompuShow makes a bunch of switches for you automatically. And the Eco UV, of course, you can just turn it on, and then you have your shutter options, you have your chases if you have multiple UV bars, and you have your strobe, you click it and you move it up and down. Pretty simple. Now when we edit this, so you can see how it works, let's go ahead and open up here. You see that all it does is basically have your shutter with min and max set. Basically min and max is saying that at the max value, when this is unchecked, it's going to be at 255, and min is going to be at 1. This is really good if you have a multi-shutter option, like for example, it has where you do a strobe, and then it just does open shutter, close shutter, chase, and I'll show you that in just a second. Because the UV bar has a dedicated strobe DMX trait, we're just going to go from 1 to 255, which is default. But if I want to edit this, so it always stays at full on, I don't have to turn on 2 switches at a time, I'm just going to go ahead and bring the solid on the dimmer, and I'm going to go ahead and save it right here. So basically, when I click on, let me initialize here, when I click on shutter, I don't have to have the dimmer on, it automatically turns it on for me, and it keeps the shutter all the way on. But if we're going to have, what if we have multiple fixtures that we want to control at the same time? Maybe we want to make all our floods and the eco bar actually strobe at the same time. Let's go ahead and bring this guy here for just a second, just to give you a mock setup. So we have our, let's use our QWH5s, right? Here's a page that's been pre-made with chases and everything else. So we have our eco bar over here, we have our main floods. If we want to make things strobe, I got to click this and I got to click that. Not very convenient if we wanted to control at the same time. This is what our master page will be for. So we're going to go ahead and make a switch on our master page. And we'll just put it under the all for now. And we're just going to call it master strobe. And we want it to be empty. We're going to do OK and edit. Now, we'll go into our EcoBar UV, and we want our shutters to be on, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring my step or solid on and bring that up. And then on the shutter here, we're going to go into our min-max. And for max, which means this is unchecked, we're going to take it to 255. At min, if we look at our DMX traits, we know that shutter open is 0. So again, as I showed you earlier, we're going to go into 1. Pretty simple there. Now we're going to go into our flat par QA5 or QWH5, whatever you choose. And make sure that, of course, they're all selected if you want to, oops, here we go, if you want to grab all of them. And it's pretty simple. Again, same thing. We're going to bring our dimmer all the way up. Now we're going to bring our min-max. And we know that the shutter, and I gotta check the manual, but let's say that the slowest shutter is at 70, so let's say 74 minimum right here. And maybe 70 is too slow, right? You can have your light plugged in and see what's going on. And then we're gonna bring it to 135. Okay. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at the manual, min is at 135. And then max, it's at 255. But 255 is a little bit too fast. It almost looks solid. So I'm going to bring it down to around 248. 245, 248 seems to be the magic number. And we are going to go ahead and click OK. Now we have the master strobe switch. I'm going to shift right click. And I want it to show my dimmer faders because that will control that min max value. So now when I click this, it's going to override these two. And it'll allow me to do an awesome strobe effect. If you have multiple types of strobes and you want this to definitely override this, like maybe you have this one or a different one and you just don't want to screw it up, just right click and we're going to go into our settings. We're going to go into switch and we're going to do always takes priority. And now this will always override that. If you don't have a MIDI-Con or a MIDI device, you could also do link to keyboard. And we can do right here S, which would turn it on and off. Okay, or we can link to keyboard, and now whenever I just push down on the S, I don't know if you can hear my keyboard click, you'll see that it stays off, or if I do it backwards, it stays on. Super simple. And you can, of course, preset your strobe as you need to, and then control it from there. So I hope that answers your question. Of course, you can do that, to make a master dimmer if you want to, or dim certain types of lights. Let's say you have multiple of the QWH5s or the QA5s or whichever you have, right? And you use some for up lights and you use some for dance floor lights. Well, if you take your main dimmer down, it's going to take everything down. So now you can make an individual dimmer for the ones you use as up lights, and you can put one for the ones you use on the dance floor lights. So that gives you a bunch of different options. You can do it with color. Maybe if you have your color mixing here and you want to have a separate one of just white, you can also create one of white or amber, whichever one the last LED is on it. So hopefully that helps out. Again, if you guys have any questions, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a playlist that says CompuShow Video Manuals, and like me on the Facebook page, CompuShow Video Manuals. Thank you guys so much, and God bless.